Nolan's probably joining online, but he's in between meetings. Nolan Skipper's joining online, not voting capacity, but he's going to join online because he was tight squeeze in between meetings, which is not a reason that you can vote.
All right, folks, let's get started. Welcome to the September meeting of the Erie Local Development Corporation. Time now is 2 o'clock dot. I'll take roll call. Jason Keating. Here. Legislator Gilmore. Here. Jeremy Toll. Here. Elizabeth Freeze. Here. Mark Cornell. Here. David Castle. Here. Legislator Mills. Here. Martha Beyer. Here. Do have a quorum. Let the record reflect that. Is Nolan Skipper online yet?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, he is present, virtual, but unable to vote. Also have Dorinda Darden representing Erie County Library until she becomes formal, so that position is filled. That position also can't vote today. If I haven't mentioned, Mike Braden is absent, joined by members of ECC, Matt Kreider, Brett Mortar, and online we have Corey Brown on the presentation today. I'll take a motion to accept the minutes from our August meeting. Motion approved. Motion by Legislator Gilmore. Now a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. As far as the report of the chair, we do have a personnel committee coming up. For those who are on the committee, it is myself, Dan, Mark Cornell, and I think we added Freeze. So if you haven't already, look out for that invitation. We'll meet hopefully soon.
Jam this motion not as long as possible. Just add more in for me.
It's the YouTube. So I have nothing more, and we can go right into number 3, executive.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. The financial report is attached. There's no significant, nothing significant to report except we're still spending money. Still investing our money as we can. This month we moved $1 million to the end of the investment. I think we're in August of 26, and we pulled out $500,000 for bills and anything that's needed for that. The mirrored investment account is complete. We have 2 investment accounts now, so that might look different on your reports, but there's $500,000 in one for the collateral of the Verizon letter of credit, and then the rest of the investments are in the regular account. And so that's financial. Any questions on the financial? No, I kind of skirt over that. We're going to be talking a lot about the budget in this meeting anyway, so you'll be able to see more or ask questions if needed. I'm going to skip over Matt for a minute because I like to go first, just because we have some good news, so I like to give that. All right, so MIP Phase 4 funding. So the incentive proposal did finally come to us. We reviewed it. We have our red lines back to them. I just remind everybody, we have the award letter. We're moving forward with the grant. The incentive proposal allows us to go ahead and incur any costs from, I think the date was like 8/14 on, 8/15 on. And so we're moving through that. We've set up bi-weekly calls with ConnectAll for the MIP phase money, and we had our second one today. They're on Tuesdays at 11:15. The first one was really just to kind of go over, there's this extensive report that luckily ECC has to fill out the majority of, and then that kind of tracks our timing with the project, make sure that we're highlighting any areas of concern or time frame issues. One thing I'd like to kind of report today is we have been given indication that ConnectAll is reconsidering the what's the word I'm looking for? The network equipment, but funding the network equipment that we had in our original $10 million ask. If you recall, this is the network equipment that the county, City of Lackawanna, and the City of Buffalo will have to pay for on their own, and it's upgraded equipment that they need. And It's around $3 million that we're completely asking for. So it will be a real benefit to those municipalities if they do fund it. I haven't let it drop. And so every opportunity that I've had, I've reminded them that they did not approve the network equipment because it seems to be in some of the paperwork we have to fill out. And so last week I took another stab at it. I asked ConnectAll if they would reconsider it, and they came back with a yes, they are going to reconsider it. And we have to submit an additional proposal that's going to be connected to this incentive proposal, which gives me even more hope that they're holding off on the finalization of the incentive proposal until they see that cost, which makes me think they're going to add it back in. So keep your fingers crossed. You know, we've been at this bridge before, but that's a significant amount of money specifically for those 3 municipalities that would really be helpful. So that's kind of the good news that I wanted to share. Affordable housing program, we keep bringing this up. We have nothing formalized yet. We have quoted 2 ISPs that received affordable housing funding from ConnectAll, one of which we just quoted last Friday. But we haven't heard back if they're utilizing the ERINET network to propose this, if we're doing any build for them. As Matt and I discussed in our weekly meeting yesterday, we're probably running out of time to be able to commit to something like that because they are on the 12/26 deadline. And so they'll have to get us something within the next month and a half for us to be able to even commit to something like that at this point. But we're waiting on those, and I wanted to give you an update. The NFTA, as you recall, we have been in conversation with the NFTA. They are working on that Bailey Avenue project. They are looking for fiber to utilize at their connect stations. What do you call those?
They call them bus rapid transit stations.
Bus rapid transit stations. There's 13, I believe, maybe a few more now.
Well, there's 13, but in both directions, so there's actually 26.
Yeah, 26 connection points. So we've had an updated meeting. We've given them some preliminary numbers. We've adjusted those preliminary numbers a couple times. They did email us back saying they intend to use ERINET. They're looking for like a final number. There were some internal on their side discussions on if they wanted more connectivity. They wanted it to be a bigger build. They've scaled that back to just these connectivities that we've talked about. So they asked Matt to finalize a few more numbers, and that's a good thing. That's a grant that they've received that we'll be a part of in a partnership with NFTA. And ECC has worked on other NFTA projects, so he's familiar with their crew. Those talks have gone really well, and it'll be, like I said, a good partnership for ERINET to be working with the NFTA on this project. Internet service provider updates. We have had several meetings in the last month with interested internet service providers for utilizing our soon-to-be completed network. So this is great news. We've known this, but those talks are getting more to the proposal stages. They're being more specific on the types of areas they want to use on our network. There are more of them coming to us, some of which are interested in potentially using our entire system, some that are interested in certain sections. We've proposed with some of them just ideas that we're trying to come up with how we want to present our ISP RFP, or how we want to, work with the ISPs, or how we're just, coming up with preliminary ideas of how ERINET can use internet service providers. We do have to do an RFP as part of our requirements with the ConnectAll grant. So on some of them, we've been kind of throwing out some ideas that we're thinking about using. They have all reported that they would respond to an RFP in such a way that we presented it. So really good, positive conversations coming out of these internet service provider talks. There's not much I can say because we do have NDAs with all of them, so we can't really discuss in public meetings details about who and where and what, but just know that they are good talks, and they're going in a really positive direction. And I feel very confident. I know I'm a super positive person, but I'm even beyond that. I feel very positive that we will have several ISPs right out of the gate that will be utilizing the network, because the network is going to do exactly what it was designed to do. It's going into areas that internet service providers cannot afford to build on their own, or were not interested at that time. But now that we're going to be in those locations, find the benefit of going off and utilizing our trunk so they can go off and build. And this is residential. This isn't just business or large corporation. This is some of these talks are for residential, which is great news to get to our next priority.
See, I heard last week kind of a related but unrelated thing that for the broadband, the Middlemount broadband system that up in the North Country that's owned by Dank, they have 21 ISPs that have subscribed to their system in one area or other. I think that might come from someone from ECC. But that was impressive. I didn't realize there was that many running to serve the Adirondacks.
That Dank network has grown to, I think, over 1,000 miles.
Right.
It encompasses 5 different counties, 6 different counties.
Just in the Adirondacks alone, there's 21 ISPs,
Yeah.
which I thought was
21 ISPs for 30 people.
Yeah. All right, enough said.
The other thing I want to bring up, which Dan's question gave me a moment to think about what that was, is we do have an international component that we're also working on, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail again due to like just restrictions on things we can talk about, but we are preparing an economic development type campaign that's working on some of our specific economic development areas right here in Erie County, one being Renaissance Park, which is something that is a priority for the county right now. And we're looking at an international component that obviously would be huge for this area if we can connect internationally. So I just wanted to keep you guys up that if you hear something, I'm not sure how you would, but if you do, we are pursuing that avenue, which would be great for the region in general. And New York State, by the way. New York State's looking for an international connection.
I would like to request, not at this meeting, but at a future meeting, we do an executive session to discuss maybe some of those things.
Yeah, if we can. Well, you can only go into executive session for certain reasons, so I'll check and make sure that that is something we can. Probably because it's potential, but I think we'd have to be a little bit further along, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, again, I wasn't asking at this one, obviously.
Yeah.
But in a future one, it would be nice, that we could be apprised in a.
Absolutely, yep. And then the last thing for my report before Matt goes into his is, Courtney's been working on trying to figure out a way that we can get information to the board more easily for you. And so she can pull that up in a second, but she created a SharePoint in Outlook. So it's a shared mailbox between the board of directors where we can have just information for the board to be able to see. One of the things that I would like to put on here, and every time we get information to here, you'll get an email alerting you to the fact of what's being put in here and where you can locate it. I believe it says where. So one of the things we're thinking about is, of course, your board material will be in here, and Courtney's kind of going through and putting past board material in there as well. So it's kind of located all in one spot for you. These are also things that are always going to be available online through our website for the public. But now we'll have a more privatized one. Not that it needs to be private, but just an area for you to be able to go to. And of the board packets, we'll still supply you with paper packets. Just, I don't know, for me, I like to write on things or whatever and see. But we're going to probably take out the financials, which is a big section of the packet, so we can reduce some waste there on paper. But you'll be able to go on and see that for your review of your packet each week before you come here and hopefully just have your questions. And you can always refer back, or if you bring your computer or your phone, you'll be able to click on that. So it's just an easier way for us to communicate any kind of updates or press releases that go out. You would also get an email, and then that material would be in our shared file for you to review. How's everyone feel about that? Good?
No, I think it's great.
Okay, good. And then if we find other ways in which, we can put other information, I think they can share to us, correctly?
Yeah, they can leave comments and start conversations.
Okay. Now you have to be somewhat careful because we can't have full-blown, all-out, full board conversations in a private area. It has to be public. But if there's little things or information that you're just sharing, that's fine. We just can't engage in a discussion that would normally have to be done in public. I just want to put that out there. Otherwise, this will start this coming month. so you'll be seeing it. We were actually gonna do it, we don't wanna confuse everybody. She sent me one a couple days ago or yesterday or
Yesterday.
something, and I sent her a picture of it. Is this from you? Like, 'cause I didn't wanna click on something and it not be. So if you get something that says from the board of directors of Erie, it actually is a legit thing. You can click on it and you'll be able to see how it works. Okay? And then as you learn, if you have questions, don't ask me, ask Courtney. She's more of the background technology person. All right, Matt.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if you left anything for me to say.
Oh. Yes, I did. Construction update.
So, and following this report, Corey Brown is joining us, and he's going to pull up our ErieNet dashboard, give you a visual as to how we're coming along with make-ready construction. Permitting continues to improve. Our county, city, and local permits are getting turned around in days, certainly within 2 weeks, so that's going well. DOT is improving. We received, each week we get a couple more permits through. So it's still not as fast as we'd like to see it turn around, but the back and forth has been reduced. And so we're getting through, and certainly the newer ones are getting through quicker. And that's important because as we go into the MIP project, we need to get all these permits submitted as soon as possible. Which brings us to today's board resolution. We'll talk more about it in a minute, but DES has been our professional engineer for New York State DOT permits. We did an RFP last year about this time. We brought on a company called Luck Grove to supplement DDS. Luck Grove is crying uncle. They're not taking more applications, or if they do take applications, their pricing is increased significantly.
Like 300%.
Yeah, or 400 even. So what we want to do in our resolution today is to again extend DDS's contract value another $125,000. That'll give us some headroom so that we can continue to submit permits in a timely way, especially on our new MIP project. And then this Friday, we're releasing another professional services RFP, and we'd like to get, in addition to DDS, 2 or maybe even 3 more engineering firms under contract. So like how we're doing the make-ready contractors, we have a pool of them that have been pre-qualified, and then we get quotes when we need additional work. We want to have a pool of engineering firms, and not just any engineering firms. We want to make sure that they're New York State DOT Region 5 experience, and that they're experienced with DOT permitting processes, because we've learned that there's DOT peccadillos when it comes to how you get permits through. And so that's today's resolution. We'll come back to that. Make Ready continues to roll. We're more than 80% of all Make Ready applications have moved into construction. Again, some of those DOT permits are holding us up from releasing construction crews, but wherever we can, we've awarded make-ready contractors to our pool of grid and NYSEG. And as that make-ready completes, in particular, the electrical make-ready, when the electrical make-ready completes, then we can start putting up our fiber strand. We've talked about this before. And then that secures our place on the pole, and then we're able to follow that up with our fiber installation. So as of last week, we had 43 miles of fiber completed. There's another 25 miles that are is under construction. And we're queuing up additional construction applications. So personally, I'm hopeful that we'll have at least 100 miles built by the end of the year. We may be able to do better than that. So we're having a little bit of difficulty with NYSEG. If you remember last year, they had these outages. And what happens is NYSEG exceeds their statewide downtime, right? So the Public Service Commission monitors how long the utility is without power for a certain area, and that accrues into some sort of budget that they track. And this time of year, they get tight with our contractors being able to do pole replacements. Because we have to, in most cases, if we're doing a pole replacement, we're transferring transformers, high voltage, hot equipment. And, you know, you got to do that fast, but you have to do it safe. And so to do that, NYSEG or grid, in particular, it's NYSEG, you have to have spare transformers, and NYSEG's been reluctant to be paying for them, even though it's their expense. And so it's, that's what we're trying to expedite on that side, so.
Seems like the PSC should have some kind of waiver for the, install of fiber cables, not like it's down because of their operating negligence or weather or something. It's an intentional thing to provide a public benefit of the fiber. So you'd think they wouldn't necessarily count that towards their annual outage.
I agree with you, but it's probably quicker to get a transformer than to get the PSC to change regulation.
Matt, did you say, wasn't it last year, wasn't there like I'll call it a hot swap option, right? They'd have two cans, essentially up the pole, make a transfer.
Well, that's what these spare transformers,
Right.
so what you have to do is, you have to have those, you install those on the new pole, have them ready to go, so you can cut the power, transfer it quickly because they're already there. If you have to cut the power, take the lines down, move the existing ones over, and then reconnect, your outage is now closer to an hour, let's say. And NYSEG wants this done in less than 10, 15 minutes. So unless you have those spare transformers, you won't meet their outage goal. So that's what we're wrestling with. Yeah, I also will warn you, we're going into storm season, so we'll have to keep our eye on that. And I'll let Corey pull up his dashboard in a minute, and we can see a visual on that. Under the network operations, our managed network services, Melissa said, we're resubmitting our proposal. It's for all of Buffalo, all of Lackawanna, but only the Erie County public safety sites that ConnectAll is willing to fund. So we have, Mike Breedy's got a total of 71 facilities that we have to get to. 40 of those facilities are eligible through ConnectAll. So that's still a good chunk. That's 2/3 of his network. But more importantly, our core, our primary and secondary core at the RAF and at the Fire Training Academy, all of that is eligible. So if we can get somewhere around 2.8, 2.9 million for that network equipment, that really establishes our core network for not only Buffalo and Lackawanna and Erie County, but any new subscribers that come on in the next 5 years. So we're hopeful that that's going to materialize for us. If it doesn't, we're still moving forward with Erie County to put that network in. ConnectAll, we've already talked about. Melissa hit the high points on the sales and marketing. I believe I mentioned last month, Town of Tonawanda has an extensive town network that they want ErieNet to build for. And so they're bringing that forward to their board. And question is whether it's a 26 or a 27 capital budget item for them. I haven't heard back from that. And like I said, we are launching marketing campaigns for all the municipalities, but also school districts and healthcare. And on the municipalities, this ties into the ISPs. We have a lot of towns where ERINet's going to come and drop off fiber to a town hall. And these, or maybe it's a village. And these are small towns where, maybe let's take Boston for an example. You have your town hall property, and I don't know how many buildings you have on that property. But I don't think you have a lot of subordinate buildings in Boston, right?
Right.
So what's the true value of that ERINet fiber to the town? And in my mind, it's in order to get you some competition on the internet service to your town, right? Your actual internet subscription. And so that's one RFP that we're framing for the internet providers, is that anyone who's on ERINet's fiber, an ERINet lit building, the ISP would be able to deliver service. So I'm thinking that might be something we want to bring forward to the Association of Government, saying, cooperatively, let's establish a cooperative contract where all the towns can just go ahead and track through that. I think we may have to get through something like that to have the procurement rules in place. So it's like anything else. You can't just sign a contract. You have to show them through a procurement.
There should be a separate contract for each municipality. We contract with all.
That's right, but it would be a cooperative bid. So more on that to come. Corey, can you launch our dashboard, please?
Maybe turn.
And this is Corey Brown. Corey's our operations manager for ECC. More importantly, he'll be ERINet's operations manager as the fiber gets built and we're into online service.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any outages or any maintenance or any support, Corey's team responds to that. And we have both fiber optic monitoring, but also the NetSync active monitoring. But this is one of the tools that Corey uses to track all that.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I probably met most of you folks back. I think we had that previous annual board meeting there where we did the original introduction into the dashboard system that we've developed here. So what I want to show here today, this is basically a snapshot in time back from the beginning of April as to the status of the various segments of the network that were in the make-ready process on there. So you can see in this particular snapshot, there's a lot of orange, red, and yellow along the network here. And what I'm going to do is basically turn that layer off now and bring us up to date with our current make-ready applications as well as fiber deployment. So we can see a lot of that network has now changed over into green and blue segments, as well as some of the other red segments have now moved into either orange or yellow or even green. So the way the color coding works for our network deployment here, obviously red is kind of the farthest back in the process, moving all the way towards blue, which would be the fiber optic network segments that are either under construction or basically have been completed for those applications on there. So back when we talked in the spring on here, we had mentioned this kind of central corridor coming up from Springville, going all the way up through Orchard Park into West Seneca. That was going to be the first major segments of the network that would be under construction, and that is following suit with CLW working on quite a bit of that. And then we also have a couple of pockets up here as well, up in the East Amherst area. So again, quite a bit of progress on there. And again, we're moving the network. Anytime we get completed segments from CLW on the fiber construction work orders that'll basically get reflected here and changed over to a blue status. So with that, again, we're going to be trying to finish out this Springville to West Seneca run. The other priority as far as fiber construction goes is going to be linking our two core sites together. So this little east-west run between Buffalo and Cheektowaga that is currently getting pushed quite hard to get the make-ready complete on that, as that'll be another priority build for us to get connectivity established with the network equipment that's going to be rolling in towards the end of November. So we can get those sites lit up and communicating, hopefully by the end of the year. And then we also have this priority corridor coming south out of Buffalo down into Lackawanna that's going to hit the Victory Technology Center. So that is one of our current IRU agreements that we have with Erie One-Bosse. So that, again, is going to be a priority build for us to see that should be popping here within the next couple of months as far as transitioning to actual fiber construction here. So that's kind of the update. And again, kind of that snapshot between what you saw back in the spring to what we have currently in the works today.
So thanks, Corey. I asked Corey to come and give a little bit of an update. It's been 6 months since our annual meeting. Unfortunately, the projector's colors aren't great. They're kind of dulled out. So it's not as great as if you were looking at it on the computer, but I appreciate it. I guess my question is, did we see a snapshot of both?
Yeah, so I can turn on, we'll zoom back out here. So I'm going to turn on, this is what it looked like in April.
Yeah, the colors on this projector suck. So there's no way else to say it.
Well, primarily there's mostly red in and around the city of Buffalo here, down on the western half of our southern portion of the network. There, a lot of this is orange and red coming down in through Collins. This main section out through Cheektowaga heading east out there, that was all red. The center corridor there that I had kind of talked about where we were building, that was primarily kind of orange and yellow as we were moving down from West Seneca to Springville. And then at that time, we were just getting ready to issue fiber construction out for the area out in Clarence up here. So that's kind of the main major changes on here. We're going to be the center corridor from Springville to West Seneca and then up in the Clarence area.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Corey. Does anyone have any questions for him about that?
So because I couldn't see the blue, so is everything that just disappeared there, am I supposed to be seeing blue? And I just can't because of the projector? See how all the green disappeared? Is that all blue?
I think it's loading.
Is that's not showing up at all?
No, it just disappears. But if you tell me it's all blue.
I think it's blue. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Blue or whatever the indicator is for.
It's blue
It's done. That fiber has hung.
for the most part. Yeah.
Okay.
43 miles of it, yeah. The other
It's
thing,
just something with this.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It just disappears, Corey, when you update it. But disappearing, that's good too. That's a good visual way. We don't have to worry about it because it disappeared.
I don't know.
we
Okay.
buried it.
Awesome. I mean, even Corey looks washed out, doesn't he? I mean, something's not right with.
It's wearing
Corey doesn't normally look like that.
He doesn't normally blend in with the wall.
we had been
Don't worry about
holding
it.
on
I know my laptop's
the
gonna die.
city of
Oh,
Buffalo
yeah,
bill
it's so good there.
because they hadn't signed their agreement yet with us. We were reluctant to commit several $1 million in the build until we got an agreement. But now that Connecto is willing to back that agreement, we're submitting all that work. And our backbone that runs through
I wonder if they
Buffalo,
could see.
that's been underway for 2 years.
It looks so much better.
That's what I said. So, it was
So
great.
Courtney has her laptop up, and if anyone really, really wants to see the color difference, you could see it on here. That is blue, and there's a bunch of yellows and greens, and we don't want to pay attention to the reds,
Blue
but.
and green is good.
But it looks really good, and I can't send this to you because it's licensed, so we have to pay, $600 per person to be able to log on to this. But anyway, if you want after the meeting, you could come and.
I have another question. So I think at the bottom, right there, it's at about 30 miles underground,
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
and
Sounds
we've
right.
done.
What I do?
It just unplugged, but it's still up.
Is underground, so do we expect that to pick up, or is that, because it's underground, it's a slower?
Because we're focusing on the city of Buffalo now, there's more underground in the city for obvious reasons. And so that will continue to go.
But does it go at a slower pace than what we can expect on poles, or no?
We don't have the make-ready challenges, but there's DOT crossings or railroad crossings. That is a challenge in its own right.
Our biggest challenge is, if you haven't heard this through anything that we've talked about tonight or today, is the permits, the DOT in particular. They are unbelievably slow.
If you think about it, Region 5 is DOT for Erie County. And not only just DOT, but the utilities. We submitted 13,000 poles. And I can't tell you how many DOT miles, but it's well over 100 DOT miles. We essentially submitted it all at once. And it was just a deluge into their offices. And this goes for NYSEG and for GRID as well. And so, and then on top of that, there's regular road and bridge construction that has DOT permitting.
I got nothing.
And there's regular road
It's
and
different there.
bridge and telecom construction that affects the utilities. And so it's just been an
You
overload
can see all different
on their
colors.
internal systems. Whereas a company, some of these smaller builds, they may be big companies, but they're only building a couple miles. So they're not overloading the system with a 2-mile application. We threw 400 miles at them within the first 6 months of launching the project. And that's what we've been battling since.
So, it reminds me, and you brought up the pole situation, I think it was about a year ago when we first started saying NYSEG is not, I think it's been about a
Grid.
year since that. So that took, 6 months before we were, were you guys
So
reporting?
it's a rolling schedule. We have.
I know, but it was about 6 months before,
There
I
was a
think,
lag, yes.
before
we
you
also-
guys felt comfortable that they were able to meet the demand, the deluge, as you said.
Right.
So I want to flag, do we need to move more quickly with DOT? Because we're coming,
Exactly.
we're coming to
So-
the end here.
And not only coming to the end, we're bringing in this Connect All project, which is gonna probably be another 40 miles that we're gonna be submitting. They're not all DOT miles,
Yeah.
but let's say there's half.
The Connect All won't have the same ARPA deadline, will it?
It has a worse one.
The worst one.
Well,
It is the ARPA
Oh,
deadline.
it's the same, right.
So
It's the same ARPA deadline.
Well, we're not on the ARPA deadline for our regular project anymore. Only,
Oh, because we did the,
yeah.
yeah,
So now we are with those.
yeah. Well, I guess the question then is, do we need to?
We've
Do something
escalated
with
it with DOT and they've been pretty responsive. We have a weekly meeting with them now. Matt Corrett, who's on the phone, he's the construction manager, is in constant contact with them, and we have seen movement. On the make ready back piece, which is hard to articulate in a report, there has been a lot of movement. We do a weekly report now from ECC, and we have seen movement on the make ready side, including permitting. That's what you'll start to see when the colors change, when those things start going through. It just takes longer because you need to get that consecutive mileage in order for us to get the fiber up. So we're getting there. Just DOT has been painstakingly slow, and it's better. And I think we've escalated to the point we need to, but I think we'll reevaluate that in about 4 weeks if it needs to go further.
And our engineers, they're familiar with DOT for roads and bridges. The broadband was a little different animal for them, so they had some learning curve. And DOT's been good about doing some special sessions with them to get their traffic control plans the way they want to see them. And so it used to be you just submit a standard traffic control plan, and you'd use that for a lot of just bread and butter permits. But DOT wants to see a site-specific control plan for every permit. And that adds time and delay to everything.
And that kind of goes back to why we're looking for additional engineers that have better New York State DOT working relationships. All right. Oh, we can keep moving on. If anyone has any more questions on that? Sorry about
Thank you, Corey.
Good. Thanks, everybody.
Jeez.
All our reporting that we do on a weekly basis, and our reporting that we do and have started with Connect All, it all comes off that GIS dashboard. Every utility permit is tracked in there, every railroad permit, every telephone pole is mapped, every make-ready application is mapped.
budget. Yep.
So moving on to number 5 on the agenda for today. And Fred Mortar from ECC Technologies will take us to our 2026 budget.
Sure, we'll go ahead.
Do you want me just to give them a preface? Let me just tell you what the process has been so far. Sorry, Fred. So we start the budget process July, August timeframe internally. Then the Audit and Finance Committee starts meeting in September to go over the preliminary budget and ask any questions, see if they need any changes. Then they met again before this meeting to review anything that was discussed or changes that happened within this month's time period. Then we'll review it first with you today, and then the approval process will happen in October so that we can submit to the ABO by the 31st of October. Real quick, you're going to see, Fred's going to explain this, but you're going to see a couple different versions of the budget, so we can highlight a couple areas of change that came about with the MIP grant. And, if we get additional MIP funding, that may slightly change the numbers, but for the most part, there hasn't been a lot of change from the A&F committee meetings last month to this month. And then we're not in operational, we're still in build, so there's not a huge difference from last year to this year in terms of what the budget looks like. That may be a different story next year. So anyway, that's just to give you a story of where we're at.
So what's up here, and in the back, this is like a summary page. All the numbers that follow are just more detail. If you look up at the top, it's the budget that was presented last year. What you'll see if you look down the 2025 column is, we were anticipating a pretty significant capital outlay in 2025, which was essentially getting most of the project done. As you all know, there's been significant delays. So when you pan down to the version of the 2026 budget, you'll see basically a lot of things have just shifted to the right a little more. In that there's more that needs to be done in 2026 because of all the delays. The other thing you can look at when you're looking at the 2025 budget versus where we are this year is, we were expecting a loss in 26 and in 27 based on all the information we had at the time. Now we're showing, a neutral budget for 26 and a loss in 27. This middle budget that we're showing is without the MIP grant. So the most important one to focus on, in my opinion, is the one at the bottom. That's what the budget looks like with the MIP grant. And you'll just see that with the grant, the loss that we were anticipating in 27 goes away. It really makes things a lot more comfortable through the balance of the project.
And I guess I'll just highlight there that the 2.2 million is about the cost of the Buffalo build. And that was not included in our original budget with the 34 million. We included that because of the negotiation for the licensing agreement. Buffalo was added in post, post original budget and build. And so with the MIP grant covering that build, that brings that funding back in, which is what makes us cash neutral, and puts us in a much better state, revenue-wise going forward, where we don't have a negative cash balance. But one thing I want to bring up to the board is it was a really great exercise for us to go through, because we explored ways in which, we might need to borrow. This was kind of more because of the MIP grant, if we had borrowed more and we needed to do short-term build costs. But it also gave us, you know, if we ever did, you know, start to run out of money, how we could borrow and what that looks like and what the process is and who we could go to and how we could go about doing that. So it was an exercise we went through anyway, which was good. We're not needing it now, but it was a great process to go through. The 2026 budget with MIP impact is the budget we're using because we have it. So we don't have to do the scenarios anymore. Good news is we have that, and then maybe some more. Which shouldn't impact these numbers too much because that's in and out funding for those particular municipalities.
I just have one question. So I'm looking at the 2026 budget and 2026 budget with the MIP impact. And maybe I'm just missing something, but the grant number is the same. So how is the MIP, all the numbers in 2026 are the same. So where is the MIP?
It's the capital asset outlay. If you look from the middle to the bottom, in 27, we had like 2.6 million.
Okay, so the MIP grant mostly impacting 2027?
Yeah,
Okay, not 2026.
it should, yeah.
Okay, so I was looking at 2026, but to understand, but okay, so the grant's coming in 2026, but it's covering costs for 2027? Is that why the grant?
It's a rolling grant, so it's a reimbursed grant, so the money will actually be coming in stages throughout 26.
We're reimbursed in arrears. So
Right.
the area that pays expenses in the state.
Okay, but where it says grants, that, I guess I assumed that meant the grants coming in. Does that include the MIP?
No,
grant?
it wouldn't. So the grant line here is just the ARPA one because it adds up
Okay.
to the 34 million.
So the grants is just the ARPA, okay.
Correct.
All right,
And which line does the Connect All grant show up then?
that was my question, is that capital, I guess there's.
It's not,
I just assumed less capital out.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm trying to be true to the original ARPA budget, like, and not include.
He's not itemizing
Each grant,
each grant.
right, I get it.
Mhm.
All right,
So on the other 2 pages, or a couple pages, that's just a more detailed, itemized grant line, or, budget lines for you to take a look at. Not much is different from previous year. We're just estimating costs, mainly in healthcare and, insurance costs. We just estimate a slight increase for those, maybe a little bit more significant in healthcare. I'm just keeping an eye on that, and if more information comes in before we have to approve, I'll adjust as I hear. But again, not much change from 25 to 26, just given the fact that we're still in a build cycle. So, you have all the numbers here. If you have questions on anything individual, let us know immediately, because we're gonna try to finalize the budget for the A&F committee to review over the next 30 days, and then they'll be able to submit for approval for the board at the next board meeting. Other questions or something we didn't highlight, Mark or Fred?
No, I mean, other than, this is what I mentioned before, this is sort of that double-edged sword of having a less ambitious version of the MIP grant that I think actually plays in our favor a little bit more, because it's both smaller and easier to manage from our own internal cash flow, meaning that we don't have to really consider any sort of short-term borrowing to cover the cash flow. But then secondarily, this is reimbursing us for a lot of work that we had to do anyways, whereas some of the earlier iterations of the MIP grant was going to be above and beyond work. So I think this version actually, even if it is less money at this point, I think ends up a better deal.
I agree. And then one thing I wanted to highlight is the last part of the budget, Exhibit A, is the ABO that we submit, just so everyone knows what that looks like.
All right, any more questions for either for Fred before we move on? Hearing none. We did have the Audit and Finance Committee today. So Mark, you want to quick announce?
Sure. Beyond discussing the tentative proposed budget for 26 and the out years, specifically, we discussed the internal check processing policy as a sort of reminder that required that all payments greater than $10,000 would require the secondary authorization from either the president, Thomas, or the treasurer, myself, whereas everything below $10,000 was something that could be done at the executive director's discretion. After sort of looking at the outlay of where payment requests have been and the dollar figures, it ended up that the vast majority were under that $10,000 threshold. That was about 77%. But it made sense to reconsider to gather a little bit more of that percentage, which frankly, most of these payments are pretty ministerial actions for utilities and things of that nature. So the committee discussed and voted to approve changing that threshold now to $25,000, which I think will probably cover somewhere between 85 and 90% of all of these transactions, and lessening the burden on specifically Thomas for being that secondary level, which, not that there's anything wrong with having a secondary level, but sometimes the logistics of getting that secondary signature is, a little challenging, and we sort of felt that it was, there wasn't really much value added to that. So we think the $25,000 level made sense, so that's what we approved going forward.
And just to remind you, you review all of the statements anyway, and so if there is ever a question, you can always still continue to bring that up.
Great, any questions for Mark Brunel? All right, so there's no unfinished business. Number 7, there's no new business, so we'll go right into the resolutions for today. All right, resolution 2025-26, the resolution of the Area Local Development Corp. authorizing the negotiation and execution of that certain incentive proposal by and between the corporation and the New York State Urban Development Corp. DBA Empire State Development, and through its Connect All office, and to the expenditure of funds not to exceed $51,133.81, and certain additional incidental costs incurred by the Connect All in furtherance of a grant disbursement agreement by and between the corporation and Connect All. Have a motion.
Motion approved.
Second by any discussion? This is the Connect All grant that we're authorizing.
Yeah, we have to do a 1% commitment fee. That's what this is.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Motion carried. And the last resolution for today, 2025-27, resolution of the corporation authorizing the expenditure of additional funds not to exceed $125,000 pursuant to that certain agreement by and between the corporation and DBS companies. furtherance of the completion of certain professional engineering services, and to the negotiation and execution of an amendment to the agreement between the corporation and the contemplate the additional authorized expenditure. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second. Matt?
Like I said, we want to give DDS more headroom. That's a not to exceed number. We're not obligated to do 125,000. And as it also said, we'll have an RFP out Friday. And I think between the 125,000 and there's probably another, between Connect All and ARPA, there's probably another 600,000 in our budget for permitting to finish the project. And so that pool will then be available to the 2 or 3 engineering firms.
All right, any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Our next board meeting is October 21st, same place, same time. If nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Who's second?
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislative.